Hey everyone, in this video I will be showing you how I animate in Maya. Just so you know, I am not a professional, I am a student myself. I just wanted to share some tips and things I found helpful when starting to learn animation in Maya. So real quick, once you open Maya, you're going to want to make sure the frame rate is at 24 frames per second. This is just the standard at what most people work at for a smooth animation. To change it, make sure that you're in the animation workspace. You can see that in the top right corner. And at this bottom right corner, you'll see this little settings icon. And you're gonna make sure that it's 24 frames per second in the time slider. And then right here in the playback speed, it says 24 frames per second. So once you've got that, the next thing you wanna make sure that you have is under the animation tab, here under the settings, in tangents, that you have clamped and stepped. And you're gonna hit save. This allows you to be able to set the keyframes and poses and let Maya do all the in-betweening work. Now, in this video, I'll do a simple ball animation with a tail. You can do this with just the ball bounce animation with a sphere, or you can use this free rig of a sphere with a tail, which I will be using. It's called Ultimate Tailed. I will put the link in the description below as to where I got it. If you're using the Ultimate Tailed rig, select everything on the rig, and in your layers right here, click and make a new layer from selected. And then I will rename this layer joints. And I'm going to lock it. That way I can select the rings on the rig and not the joints. We'll worry about the tail and the stretch and squash later. But at first, I do want to focus just on animating the ball bounce. If you're not familiar with the timeline, it's right here on the lower half of your screen. Here you can set all the keyframes and everything, and then in this area we can also work on the curves after. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this middle ring around the ball, and then I'm going to hit S to key it. Okay, now that we have our ball keyed onto frame 0, we can move up to, let's say, frame 12. And then I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to move it up in space. Let's say about there. I'm going to select everything and then I'm going to hit S to key it. And then the last frame we're going to do, I set it back to its original state. We can clear it out here on the side, just translate Y, and set that to 0. And then we're going to select everything and then hit S to key it. Okay, so it doesn't look like much now. If you scrub through it, it just moves up and down in space. But here's the magic where Maya comes in. So if we select all of our keyframes right here and then change it to this curved one right here, we can see that everything changes to this curve. If we narrow it down to just the movement of the ball and not the rest of the rig, we see this green curve right here. So what this will do is that we can change the way that this curves to make it slow in and slow out. So as you can see, we have these little Bezier handles that we can turn everything with. Or if you select the specific node, I want to work specifically on just the y-axis that we've moved up and down, because that's the only thing we've really touched. So, but I can take this one and I can turn it upwards. And then I can make this one go upwards. And now if we play it, we see that Maya's trying to smooth it out, but it doesn't really know what we want yet. It's trying its best to come up with the in-betweens for our animation, but it doesn't really understand what it is that we want it to do. Another thing we can do is if we select the handles, you can see that they move in unison together. So if I try to move one, it'll move both sides. But if we want to move one individually of the other, we can use this tool right here, which will allow us to split it. So you can move one individually from the other. And if you want to combine them again, you just simply have to push the one next to it and then they're both combined again. Mind you, it will stay in the same position that you left it in, so it may not always be what you want, but it does come in handy when you need to separate things differently. What we can do is we can continue playing around with these curves so that we can get the ball bounced just right. Next, we're going to start working on the squash and stretch. So this top circle right here will squash the ball down and stretch it up. The fun thing about 3D is that the proportions stay the same and you don't need to worry about making sure that it's not growing in size like you would in 2D. So let's squash it down a little bit, and then I'm going to hit S to key it, and then we're gonna go up to our next frame here. So we can stretch it here and then it can squash on the way back down. Oops. I still want it to stretch on the way down too, so we'll key one there as well. And then next we can work on the tail. So at the lowest point, the tail is going to be doing kind of a follow through. So we're going to say that the tail is still above the ball. And then I'm just going to rotate these so that it looks like it's whipping as the tail comes up. And then on this frame, the ball is shooting up, so I'm gonna have the tail follow through with that. So we're going to say something like that. By the top here. It's going to start falling back down, but the tail is still following through. Remember to key each one by hitting S. And then on the way back down, the tail is going to go the opposite direction, so it's going to be falling this way. And then when the tail hits the bottom, it's going to kind of whip around. Okay, something like that. Alright. And then I'm going to select the whole rig and make sure that everything's being curved. Alright, after tweaking the curves a little bit more and doing a little bit more fine-tuning, this is the end result. For all intents and purposes, I am very satisfied with the result. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe to watch more videos like it in the future. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or suggestions for any future videos, please make sure to leave that in the comments below. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!